I think we are live already. Hey, we got one like already so fast. Hi Melissa. Hi Shin.
Hello, hi Joanne.
Hello, Joe.
Hi. Today I got my first jab. Isaac.
Oh,
So was
Astra,
so excited.
the
Yeah,
first
this
vaccine.
morning. Yes, in PWTC. Was so excited. There's so many people there. There were so many people.
Right. I got my first AstraZeneca jab about a month ago already, so looking forward to my second dose actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll wait for about like 30 seconds to a minute lah, 30 seconds, about a minute or two for people to come in before we officially start lah, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So any side effects, Joanne?
Oh, I was having some dizziness just now, so I took some Panadol, so I feel so much better now. Rested for a while, then I got a lot better now. Hopefully, it will be better. Hopefully, I don't have any side effect after this.
Mm.
I
And Melissa, do you have any side effects when you took your jab in the
Oh,
UK?
well, yes. I had my vaccine in January, and the side effect was quite strong. For the first few days, I felt a headache, and also my arm was swollen. And then after 2 weeks, I think I've been constantly coughing for nearly weeks.
Okay.
So all those are the side effects. But I'm glad that I'm getting much better now.
Right.
How's it in Malaysia? I've heard that the situation is getting worse.
Yes.
Yes, it is. It is hovering at 7,000, 8,000 cases a day.
Wow.
And in terms of population ratio, I think we are actually one of the worst. Yeah.
In Asia?
In the world.
In the world?
Yeah. I'm laughing now, but not really. No, I'm not really laughing.
In the UK, a lot of Cambridge scientists saying that we started the third wave already.
Yeah, I saw that as well. So I left UK quite a number of years. I can't believe it's my third year since I've left UK, but I still keep. Yeah, I still read news about the UK. Yeah, so I have a lot of friends who's saying that they see very clear evidence that third wave is on the way right now.
Yes, that's true. So today I just enjoyed a garden party with a few principals here in Cambridge. And coming here for the live. Why study abroad?
Yes.
That's awesome.
One of the best reasons to study abroad, right? Like for perfect summer garden party. This is one of the things I miss.
Yes.
It's a lot in the UK. Yeah.
It's beautiful when the weather is nice like this. Today, the temperature is 20 degrees, and there are lots of plants. They're blossoming like peonies, madanfa, and a lot of the gardens are very pretty right now. Most of the gardens in Cambridge are beautiful, gorgeous.
I wish that I could go there. I wish I could be there. Oh, must be really nice.
Next summer, and hopefully you can come.
So for those of just a small advertisement. So for those people that just joined us, right? Like I just want to say that we're just going to wait for a couple of seconds more before we officially start. And then Melissa, Joanne, and I were just casually chatting about. Especially Melissa and I. Well, not Melissa, but me reminiscing my day in the UK. I actually, I love four seasons. And
same here.
Yeah, because actually a lot of Malaysians tend to say that UK is too cold. It's always, but I personally feel that I actually like the change of the weather, change of the season. That's pretty good.
Same here. If you ask me to go to Singapore, I will find it a little bit boring because all year round you're just wearing t-shirts or the summer clothes.
Yes, you don't get to change fashion much. That's true.
We have a lot of clothes that you can change according to the weather.
So, jumpers and then winter coats.
Do you remember the University of Cambridge has got lots of beautiful jumpers?
Yes. No, that's kind of funny that you said that. because sorry, we're digressing a bit from the topic today. We should start very shortly, but I, like I love Cambridge hoodie, right? Like when we studied at the University of Cambridge, like hoodie is one of the best things to do
Yes.
to wear on. And funnily, in Malaysia, a lot of people actually wear hoodie despite the freaking hot weather here in Malaysia because they just want to look cool. But it doesn't make any sense because hoodie is just so, yeah. But anyway, I saw my niece and nephew, 16 years old, 15 years old, wearing a hoodie, perspiring, sweating inside, and he doesn't care.
Awesome. I think we should start soon.
Yeah,
we should start soon. Yeah. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us in this in your busy schedule in this evening. So, my name is Joanne, and I am actually working in the telco industry as well as the vice president of community of an NGO. So today we have two experienced panelists on why study abroad, where we will be talking about the benefits of studying abroad. So our goal today is that you will come away with something, a new idea, a fresh perspective, a new strategy that you can apply more successfully in your goal. So this webinar is going to be about an hour. So let me introduce our panelists. Our first panelist is Melissa. So Melissa was elected as the public governor in July 2019. She was an executive director at UK Education Garden and also the head of careers and resources of Cambridge Academy for Science and Technology. So she has been working in Cambridge for over 10 years for head of careers and also resources. So our second panelist will be Shin. Dr. Shin, he holds a PhD degree in physics from University of Cambridge. After graduation, he joined the Royal Society Fellow and also Professor of Experimental Physics. Professor.
That's my supervisor. He's a fellow of the Royal Society, yes, and professor of experimental physics at the Cavendish Lab. Yeah.
Awesome. So apart from that, he is currently a head of data scientist, where he leads a small and high-performing team who provide data-driven solutions. And he is also another fun fact about him is he is also the founder and the coach for the University of Cambridge Chinese debating team, the pioneer of Chinese debate group in UK. So before we start, I'd like to thank UK Education Garden for sponsoring us for this webinar. So yeah. So today our topic is why study abroad. So I have like so many questions. So let me start with the first question, which is I'm always curious, asking myself, is the quality of the education better in the UK? Shin.
Oh, you're asking me if so your question is the quality of education better in the UK? Now, I personally think that education is it's difficult to say that education in some universities or in some countries are definitively better than another country or another university. I think that's a little bit biased in there. But the way I would like to see is, especially for a Malaysian, right, studying abroad and studying in UK has a lot of benefits and advantages. You get to get yourself exposed to different kinds of culture, different kinds of thinking. I think that's very important. But obviously, I personally came from the University of Cambridge, so obviously, it's a prestigious university and it's not easy to get in. So obviously, the quality of education there is definitely much better than a lot of other universities in the world. That is a given. But as a general rule, I think that studying abroad, the real quality that you get from is actually the quality that you get from experiencing a different culture and a different kind of thinking. And you might think that why is this important? See, what I think is that education and bachelor degrees, it's only temporary, right? You might think that having a degree in engineering is very important right now, but over the long term, over your 20 or 30 years of your career, what is really important is actually your attitude and your mentality. And having been abroad and having been with studying with the best at University of Cambridge, it shapes the way you think, right? Just there are so many examples that I can give, but I just like to give one example. So, for example, one of the things that I learned when I was in at University of Cambridge is that it's okay to admit you're wrong, right? It's okay to apologize and then admit you're wrong. And I think this is a virtue that is actually kind of difficult for Malaysians, right? And admittedly, when I first got to the UK, I was in that same situation as well, right? Admitting you're wrong and apologizing shows that you're weak, you're stupid, you're incapable. But when I first got there, I got a totally different philosophy, right? My professor told me that if at any point you think you're wrong, say you're wrong, admit you're wrong, or you say, I don't know, let me go and check. And that is when you gain respect of your students and your peers, right? Because once you lose that respect, you're never going to get it back.
Never gonna get.
Yeah. Second most important thing is in an environment such as Cambridge, or in academia, where you're talking about creativity. You're talking about creativity. You're talking about being unrestrained and think about whatever subject they're researching in. You need to be in that culture where you're psychologically safe to make a mistake. You're given the assurance that it's okay to take risk. It's okay to make a mistake. Sometimes you do an experiment, it's wrong. Because that gives you the courage to try everything under the sun, to go, like, to quote Star Trek, to go where no man has ever gone before, right? So that I think is important, yeah. I don't know what do you think, Melissa?
I totally agree with you, Shin. You've mentioned a few things. First of all, about creativity, and for me, I've been studying in different parts of the world, like United States. I got a master degree in Australia. Not many people know I studied children's literature in Australia, and I also went to Vancouver, UBC, for some exchange program as well. And my original background was from Hong Kong, so I finished all my primary school, secondary school to university in Hong Kong. And what I felt is I decided to settle down in the UK because I think the educational system really suits me as an educator. I enjoy it very much. It's the creativity, which I like, and also it's the flexibility of creating your own elements in your own study. And you can actually plan your day yourself. You can discuss with your supervisor or your tutor about what you would like to do, a particular topic. And it's not the other way around, if you could understand. Because in Asia, a lot of things is one way, but in here is both way communication, which I enjoy most. Of course, I particularly, and for me, I like nature and gardens. So staying in the UK, I can see I can get in touch with a lot of gardens and visit some beautiful properties here.
That's very true. I think in UK the house can be quite small. There are not much space for living room or even your dining table. But there must be a huge plot of land for gardening in the UK. Right?
Yes, you're right.
Yes, gardening is very important. Yes,
I think a lot of students also enjoy when they stay in their accommodation, they actually looking at the garden most of the time. Yeah. Because lots of them will have a beautiful courtyard or garden.
Yeah, and yes, and I think I just to summarize, I think education in the UK, right? Apart from the fact that they have one of the best universities in the world, right? In not just Oxbridge, but even beyond Oxbridge, for electronics, University of Southampton, Bristol Telecoms,
yes.
You have a lot of other law schools, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Cardiff. I mean, apart from a lot, I mean, you can go online and search the university rankings, and you can easily see that UK has one of the most number of top 200, top 100 universities in the world,
In the
right?
world.
Yeah, in the world, yeah. And I think to Melissa's points about, but if we look beyond this, I think UK education system is very similar to Malaysia. That's one, and also like what we just mentioned, right? I think it's the way they encourage those two-way communications, how they encourage creativity thinking, by creating this, not least by creating this psychological safety to say you dare to challenge, and the diversity of culture and background. It's the whole package, right? It's the whole package.
Yes.
The history as well, the language as well. You get people. I mean, UK is pretty close to Europe, so you get Germans, Spaniards, French, Swiss. You get all these people, and they have different views on different things, different, and all these things just come together as one big nice package. And I think that's why, to answer Joanne's question, is the quality of education in the UK good? I would certainly encourage it, because I think that whole package makes it so attractive.
I particularly enjoy your point about meeting with international students. You in one college, you can meet students all around the world, which you will be really surprised, especially in Cambridge here. And I enjoy having formal dinner with them, or even just a normal lunch with them, which I can learn a lot of cultural stuff, which I never, if I were in Hong Kong, I would never be able to expose to this kind of international environments.
True.
Thank you so much. So apart from that, I'm also curious about what about so what's the culture, and also what's the mentality there? I know you mentioned a bit just now, but could you like share a little bit more about the culture and also the mentality there? When it comes to studies and when it comes to work, I know that Melissa and Dr. Shin, you both have been studying in Cambridge and also have been working in the UK. So what's the difference between Asia and also in the UK for the culture and mentality? Yeah.
Melissa, you want to start first?
I think culture-wise, UK is quite open, because we got different types of nationalities living here. For example, when we were having a formal dinner or just a normal lunch at the University of Cambridge, as I said, you met people from different parts of the world, and we will learn to respect each other. This is something I really enjoy talking to them, because we listen to each other's, and then we ask different questions, but it's always a peaceful way.
I totally agree as well. And I can't emphasize enough that, a lot of people coming to our top webinar thinking that when we talk about why we study abroad, we are thinking about like how good is their science department, how good is the engineering department. I mean, we can have a separate webinar on this, but every university differs, right, on the level of quality of education. But what is most important about studying abroad, and especially in the UK, is actually like what Melissa said, it's about the diversity, right? And I can give one very good example. And I'm saying this as a Malaysian, right? So obviously I did my PhD at Cambridge, and I have a chance to teach there for a few years. And we have to go through this course, right? Before you teach students, you have to go through this course. And initially I was quite shocked, right? Thinking back now, I was quite shocked when I first heard this, is that they will say that there will be students that comes in as handicapped, where they can't write as well, they can't listen as well, right? And some people can't. There are even students who can't understand as well. Right? And we were given instructions that for these students, you need to give them an additional 20 minutes, right? 30 minutes. I don't know if this sounds very obvious to everyone here, but for me, I mean, like back in, like 10, 20 years ago, that's how long I've left Malaysia, by the way. 10, 20 years ago, when I first got to the UK, my impression is that if if you have a handicap, I mean, I'm not discriminating you, but I think to be fair, I think everyone should finish on the dot at 4 o'clock, right? And if you have any handicap, you have problem understanding things, your handwriting is not good, I shouldn't cater for that because it's unfair to others. But over here, I learned it's the other way, right? It's the other way where what they treasure is your ability to do that kind of a creative thinking, your ability to get the right answers. So we know you can get the right answers, then we will help you to get the right answers. Even if that means giving you more time, giving you more attention, right? Because the important thing is that we want to help you to get the right answers. So that's the idea behind that. It's not only that, and I'd just like to very quickly get a second example as well. Back in Malaysia, we often have this culture that you need to speak out very well, right? And again, in the UK, what I do learn is that it's okay if you don't speak out very well. So I have worked with colleagues where he can't speak at all, right? So every time you talk to him, he literally have to put a palm across his face to block himself and started talking. And we have a lot of these gigs at University of Cambridge, right? Like if those of you who watch The Big Bang Theory, right? It's actually kind of true, right? But this kind of people, I feel in Malaysia, they get stigmatized, right? Like, oh, you can't even speak, you're not good, you can't get a job. But in the UK, you get that diversity, right? Like if I need you to be a salesperson, yeah, I need you to talk. But if I need you to be an engineer, no, I don't need you to talk. I need you to just solve my problems, build a machine for me. I don't need you to talk very well. As long as you can communicate the results to me, that's fine. Other than that, it's so I get you get to work with people of very different character, and I feel like in Asia sometimes you try to use a cane and whip everyone so that everyone becomes behaves the same, have the same characteristics, good at communication. You must have a certain set of skill sets. So this kind of mindset of respecting each other and appreciating diversity, that only comes in that's at least for me, that's something that I learned when I was in the UK.
That's true. And Dr. Shin, you just remind me of Professor Stephen Hawking. He couldn't walk himself, and he need to use a lot of equipment to help him to write. But he did extremely well in his life. I think now all over the world, everyone will respect him as a great scientist, even though he has lots of disabilities himself. But he managed to overcome it. I wonder if Stephen Hawking is not in the UK, if he was born in a different country, will he achieve such a big achievement in his life? What do you think?
I do agree. I think in many parts of Asia, we still do not have that kind of accessibility or even the tolerance, right? Sadly, but that is the case for people like that. So in short, I think UK has the kind of environment where it ensures that eccentricity. It's actually something that it's a plus point, right? In Asia, eccentricity it's not a plus point, right?
That sounds like in UK they have a very, very friendly environment for different kind of people. This is something new to me.
Even in the children curriculum, when they were in nursery, the kindergarten, or in primary school, they were taught they need to respect each other and respect different cultures. That is the core of the curriculum, the teaching curriculum.
Yep.
Yeah, I think apart from talking about this kind of what we call the soft skills that we can get from university, I think a lot of audience might be interested to know about. I think a lot of Malaysians, right, especially, would be really interested to know if after studying in the UK, what is their jobs prospects? I mean, like coming back to Malaysia, what's their job prospects, and I think a lot of my Malaysian friends ask me like, what is the possibility of them to actually work in the UK and continue to live there? Melissa, do you want to talk a bit more about the policies right now on this area, and I can add up on coming back to Malaysia to work, because that's what I did.
Oh, that's
right?
what you did. The policy right now is much more flexible than the previous year. If you graduate from a degree or master degree, you can apply to stay in the UK for 2 years. If you graduate from a PhD level, you could stay for 3 years to work. So it's a lot more flexible than before.
It's a guaranteed, is it?
Yes, if you apply for it, you get it. Yes.
Right. And I reckon that after you work for 2 years, the company would love you, that they would just extend you and apply for a work permit for you by then, right? Because having 3 years of working experience in the UK, that's very important. That's going to make the difference between whether they will consider applying a work permit for you or not.
Yeah. So being an overseas graduate, 我哋叫做海歸，你就是一個海歸，可以咁樣飛遊翻去。What do you find that your salary actually is higher, or you get much more respect from your colleagues working in Malaysia?
It does. Actually, UK universities are still very well respected in Malaysia. So yes, let's put it this way, right? At least it helps you to get past the first stage of the interview. At least at many instances, it will help you to get past the interview stage, because you're competing with like 20 over or 40 over candidates, all right? And UK universities have a pretty high standing, so it definitely helps in that sense. But it's not a what's the word for it, right? It's not a guarantee. Right, it's not saying that you're from UK universities, you are certainly to get this job, but certainly people have a much better respect for you. But you have to earn that as well, right? There's only so long you can survive based on the reputation of your universities, right? And I always tell a lot of my juniors that it's true that reputation of the university does help you, but at a certain point, it's up to you to help the reputation of the university, right? Back in the other direction. But to answer your question, short, I think UK universities are very much well respected in Malaysia. You do get a certain advantage, but you have to work hard for it after a while. Whether they pay better or not, it really depends on the subject that you're studying, right? But I will say this, right? Malaysia being a developed country compared to UK, if for example, because I studied physics and engineering, so I'm talking from that point of view, and when it comes to engineering and science, STEM subjects, what you realize is that UK economy is much more advanced, so you have a more broader spectrum of work you can pursue, right? Whereas in Malaysia, it's very narrow. If you study engineering or if you're studying physics, there's only so many organizations would want to hire you, and even if they hire you, there's very high chance they want to hire you eventually as a procurement or sales or management, and not R&D. And even if you're in R&D, it might be at the downstream of the R&D, which means it's usually doing the manufacturing side of R&D rather than the proof of concept of R&D. So I've worked in the UK for a couple of years, where for me, I enjoy doing this. It's where we work at the higher stream and upstream of the R&D, which what I mean by that is we do a lot of proof of concepts. So you have a problem, I solve that problem, I have a proof of concept, we prove that it works, all the data, we collected all the data, and then that trickles down to the manufacturing side. So now the problem has been solved. The next step of R&D is to get it implemented and manufactured and mass produced, right? So but some people enjoy that, right? So I'm not saying that which one is better. I'm just saying that there are more options in the UK if you want to do that, right? You get to have technology consulting as well, where people, and I'm not joking, right? This is literally what happened, right? People will approach you and say, I want to make the best ever coffee machine. Can you make one for me, right? And then you assemble a team and you make a coffee machine. And this is not even a joke. This is literally is what happened, has happened, and yeah. So, but you don't get this kind of jobs in Malaysia, right? Like you don't see people coming here. Hey, can you design a machine that makes the best kopi or the white coffee Malaysia? You don't get this kind of. It's just not available, right?
Mm.
I have a question. So, did you face any challenge looking for job when you graduated and wanted to study in the wanted to get a job in the UK? What were the challenges you were facing?
So actually, one of the key challenges is actually the work permit, right? And I say this like actually Asians and Malaysians, right? I can say you in generally we are actually quite smart. So I with certain confidence in me, I can say that you will be able to find a job in the UK if you're given a work permit. And to Melissa's point, uh, and we Asians are hardworking, so don't worry about it. We have the capability and we are hardworking. And um, and to Melissa's point, if as long as you apply for the work permit, you get a work permit, then the next step is for you to really look for jobs, right? Because you have to understand that there's a very mature economy, which means it takes about 2 to 3 months to find your job. You have to go to all those interviews. Um, During my time, the challenge is slightly different. During my time, the policy keeps changing, right? It was during the time where UK was not so welcoming to immigrants, and so there were additional criteria for us to work there. So during my time, it was more challenging for me to convince a company that they would hire me, and I believe at that time, if they want to hire me, they have to prove to the government that they couldn't hire a local British people for the same job. They have to advertise locally for 3 months or something like that, right? And fortunately for me, I got a PhD in physics, so there's not a lot of competition. And when it comes to PhD in physics, that means it's very narrow, right? It's specifically mine was like nanomagnetic, three-dimensional nanomagnetic devices. Not a lot of people in the world is doing that, let alone in the UK. So I was kind of protected by that.
We do need a lot of physicists. So I always advise my local students or international students, if they want to come to the UK, think about STEM subjects, because this is something we always need in the UK. If you want to stay here to have work or to have your family, STEM area is very strong right now.
Indeed. I mean, I've known of quite a number of Malaysians who's doing very well in the social arts and social sciences as well, right? Like I know when I was at Cambridge, I met a few very good historical lecturer. He did his PhD, everything in Cambridge, but she's a Malaysian. But I think generally Malaysians are more towards STEM, right? Science, technology. But I've also, like I said, I've also known people who have studied law for 2 years and decided to switch to business. And now the head of one of the biggest company in Malaysia, right? I don't think I should say her name without her consent. But yeah, it happens. But it might be during my time. But generally, a lot of Asians and Malaysians are when it comes to STEM, math, we're quite good, and we have an advantage over the general population in the UK. At least that's what I feel. Yeah.
Shin, just you mentioned about you don't want to say someone's name. This is so British. This is so British. I just can tell you are educated in the UK, because in this country we respect each other. That's kind of respect, isn't it? Without asking someone, you won't disclose their names.
Yeah. I know. I mean, but you remind me of a few jokes that it's funny to me because I'm going to tell it anyway. There was first few years when I was in the UK, I made a few mistakes that I think a lot of Asians would do. So I visited my my professor's house, and it was huge. It was fun, cool. And we were having barbecue there, and then everyone was very happy. And I started saying, "Hey, how much do you buy this house for?" And everyone just looked at me as like, "Why do you even ask this question?" like what? I'm just like, but because in Asia we do that all the time. Just like, "Wow, that's a nice house. How do you buy it for?" And then we just say, "Yeah, we bought it for X amount of money, right?" But this is just something that they completely do not talk about, right? So yeah, you're right. I mean, it gets a bit yeah, it gets you need to get used to it. Yeah, it takes a bit time to get used to this. The humor, the British humor, you need to get used to it as well. But over the years, I came to actually really love British humor. I mean, like even now, I'm back in Malaysia for 2 years. I still often go YouTube and and see try to find all this British humor. It's just awesome. Like it's pure sarcasm, right? That's British humor. It's pure sarcasm, and I really love that. Yeah.
What can you share with us one of the best British sense of humor that you've heard?
You're testing me. I can't remember any off my head right now. But yeah. No, I can't remember any off my head right now. But, like the countdown, I often watch the count. And so I watched the countdown a lot. I watched when if you turn on the TV and it's so Joanne, if you don't know this, right? If you turn on TV, British TV, right, 8 out of 10 times it's quiz, right? The TVs are filled with so in Asia you have reality shows, in UK it's quiz shows, right? All their shows are about quiz, asking questions and people having a smart way of answering questions and making it a comedy. So there was I think there's a program that's called Would I Lie to You? I like that a lot. So I would say something about myself, and then you would want to guess that is that true or did I just lie to you? And then a lot of the comedians will go in there and start talking about very funny things and yeah. So yeah. But I'm not a comedian, so you got me there, Melissa. I'm not great at talking.
I just want to share one last week when I was invited to visit a school and give some advice to help the school to improve. And there was a student step into a staff area, which as a student, you are not supposed to step into a staff room or into a staff area. And the staff asked me how to handle this situation. What I did is I asked the student, "Oh, do you want to become a staff here one day?" And she said, "Yes, how do you know?" And she know what I meant. And she quietly just leave the staff room. This is kind of British humor. Can you get it?
Yeah.
The student's supposed to know he shouldn't be there, but I gave him an excuse to go out.
Yeah.
Without punishing him.
This reminds me of another British culture where I remember when my professor told me, like, Shin, I think you should be doing this. And I went on and said, yeah, okay, yeah, but I think this is better. But that's wrong, right? Like when someone in the UK said that I think you should be doing this, or perhaps doing this is better, what they really mean is that I think you should definitely do this. Please do this, right? Do not question me, do this. But the way they said is like, would you consider trying to do this way instead, right? That's the way they express. That's already quite a strict command to you, right? When they say, consider doing this, would you think about doing this my way or something like that? Yeah. So that's British culture for you. Yeah. So we digress a bit. We're Melissa and I, we are reminiscing a lot of our good times back in. I mean, my good times back in the UK, because Melissa is still in the UK. Yeah.
So
but yeah,
I'm just
coming back to the topic. Joanne, any more questions?
I have a few more questions. So what about the community? Is it because I think Asian will be the minority there? So how do you blend into community, or do you only hang out with Asians? How do you do that?
I think that's a very good question as well, right? Like I want to address two questions there. The first one is about, I think recently there are a lot of concerns about discrimination of Asians, right, in the Western world. I have to say one thing, like Cambridge, I've spent a lot of my time in the UK in this nice little bubble called Cambridge, right? It's a lot of people do say that's Cambridge, to be fair. But overall in the UK, if you ask me, is there some form of discrimination? I mean, if I tell there's no discrimination, it's a lie, right? But But if you ask me generally how I feel about discrimination in the UK, I feel it's very, very minor. You get discrimination everywhere in the world. But one thing is very important in the UK is it's not institutionalized. What I mean by that is that uh, the government doesn't encourage you to, or the police doesn't encourage you to do discrimination. Discriminating someone openly, you will get caught, you will get punished, you will be punished, right? There will be some small group of young people growing up. You go to a bad neighborhood, I've seen that before. They'll go past you and they will say "你好吗,你好吗," as if "你好吗" is a vulgar word. It's not right. It's actually "how are you," but because they don't know what "你好吗" means, so they drove by you, in a car and said "你好吗,你好吗." I'm sure please get that. But I have no idea why they are doing this. But it does make you uncomfortable sometimes, right? But overall, I think in the UK, it's a very safe society compared to Malaysia. That's what I feel. Now, the second part of this I want to say is that a lot of foreign students make the mistakes of sticking back to their own community, right? Malaysians going there, sticking back to Malaysians. The Chinese going there, sticking with the Chinese. I mean, it's natural, right? You feel at home and you hang out with Malaysians. But to maximize your experience in the UK, we talk so much about learning how different people from different culture think, learning about people from different backgrounds, right? And the only way you do that is to mix around, right? I mean, like, you will, if you're coming back to Malaysia, you will have the rest of your life to mix with Malaysians. So take the opportunity when you're in the UK to learn as much as you can about other people's culture. And that's where UK has a very strong advantage, especially for Malaysia. Number one, we speak their language, English, right? We speak their language. Number two, UK is close enough to Europe where you get people from all across Europe to come in. So you get that diversity. That's not always the case. You have to bear in mind that, for example, if you go to study in Japan, even if you go to US, I don't know about US education, but I've got a feeling that US education would not have such diversity as UK, simply because of its proximity to Europe, right? UK, you might get a lot of Canadian students, US students, and some portion of international students, right? But UK is truly international. So to answer your question, I mean, like, mix with people from all backgrounds, right? And that's how you can maximize your life experience when you're in the UK.
Oh, that sounds cool. How I wish that had the opportunity to study there or to work there. I remember before the actual lockdown, I went there for vacation. I love UK. I love the weather there. I love how they wear, how their outfit. It was the beginning of winter, and everyone was wearing their winter clothes. Wow, they look so amazing. So I have a few more questions to both Shin and also Melissa. Like, what about the expenses there and the application there to study in UK? Is it expensive? Because it's in pound, and also the processes. I'm sure there's a lot of processes like visa and so on. Could you guys, both of you, share with us on these 2 points?
I just want to share, Joanne, coming back to your question about the clothes.
Good.
Most of our students is pretty much like Dr. Shin today. You will find in Cambridge, in the city centre, that a lot of professors just wearing t-shirts, and they may have sandal or toe high, and they're cycling in the streets. That is such a casual way. So you save a lot.
Sometimes they wear shorts in winter as well.
Yeah.
I've seen my British friend wearing shorts in winter. Something I can never do. But
Already.
yes.
I don't think I can do that. It's too cold.
And if you go clubbing, you have a lot of pretty girls wearing spaghetti stripe during winter as well, standing outside the queue of the club. But
as far as I remember, the girls there, they don't really put on makeups like Asians. So
No,
they don't. Do they?
You don't?
No, I don't see. They don't really put on makeup.
I see.
They have
Okay.
natural beauties.
Natural beauty is important.
Natural beauty, yeah.
Mm. No comment on that from me. Melissa,
How
you
much,
want?
how much
Sorry?
did you spend, Dr. Shin, for your
How much?
PhD?
What?
Oh, you get scholarship, didn't you? So
Yeah,
for
I got yeah. That's why I think it's better for Melissa to talk about that. I can talk a bit more about scholarships available for students in Malaysia, but
Mhm.
generally the expenditure and the cost of studying and living. Melissa,
In this country, we have 3 terms: autumn term, spring term, and summer term. And each term, you're expecting about maybe 8 to 15K. 8 to 50K pounds. That should be enough. It depends on which school or which university you're going to. That's already included your accommodations, your food, and your tuition costs.
Mm.
Except you spend lots of money buying expensive cars, renting expensive houses, or buying LV bags. Those are on top of those 50K.
Yeah, let me share some Malaysian experience then. Like a lot of Malaysians, when you go there, you'll be very interested in cars because you'll be glad to know that you can buy a pretty good second-hand car, second-hand Mercedes, no less, for £5,000, which is 20,000 K ringgit Malaysia, which is equivalent to your Kalisa. Yes, you can sell your Kalisa at home and you can own a second-hand Mercedes in the UK. but I'm not asking everyone to buy a car, but I'm just saying that you could, right, if you want to.
I have
Sorry, Joanne.
I have friends who they send their kids to UK, and what they do is they actually buy the properties there because they students, they stay there for years. After years of accommodation staying there, so naturally the price increase, and then they sold the property after they plan to leave UK. Is that like a normal thing to do for Asian?
That's quite normal for our parents. They do buy properties here, and so that they can stay there. Yeah. And then after their graduation, they actually earn money more than their tuition cost. So it's a very good investment, especially here in Cambridge.
Yes. I do recall Cambridge House. It's one of the prime areas in the UK. Yeah.
Yes, it's very
I
common.
was talking about. I want to share a little bit more about cost savings in the UK because, as Melissa mentioned, I actually got scholarship to study, but because I got scholarship, which means that I have to live like a poor man's poor student. But I think what Malaysians find is that a lot of Malaysians we can cook our own meals, right? Even simple meals, right? I started off by only knowing how to cook omelets and Maggi mee. If for Malaysia who doesn't know what Maggi mee is Hong Kong's Chu Chin Yat Tang. So yeah,
Okay.
so but over the years you will learn to cook a lot more other different meals and different dishes. And if you can cook your own meal, it's actually very, very cheap. You can save a lot, right? The main reason is I think that this is my theory. Yeah, the general population in the UK just doesn't cook. I don't think the general population in the UK. I don't think they cook that often. So, for example, I can still remember you can buy the whole chicken for about £6, right? And like a dozen of drumsticks for £4. I still remember the price here. But for cut out breast meat, it's also £4, right? Because British people love breast meat, but we Asians, we want drumsticks. Think about it, right? £4 for breast meat versus £4 for a dozen of drumsticks, right? You compare that. So if you know how to cook, and you will realize that actually you can buy all those raw materials and you do cook your own meals. Actually, that part you could save a lot. To be honest, accommodation in the UK, in Cambridge, is quite expensive, right? But to Melissa's point, that also means that its property will increase in price over the years. But if you stay somewhere else outside Cambridge and London, the accommodation fee is actually a lot more affordable. Yeah, so it depends on where you stay. day as well. And I think maybe we don't have time now, but there are a lot of opportunities for scholarships as well for Malaysians studying in the UK. But I guess scholarships is a different topic altogether.
Yeah, maybe we can have a separate webinar on that. Okay, I think it's already 10:20. I still have one more thing to share with the audiences, because I get to know that we have like our beloved politicians, a lot of famous people from Malaysia. They actually studied in UK, like Oxbridge, like Yeo Bee Yin, Tony Phua, and Kyrie. Is that true? Have you seen them in the UK?
Yeah. So I actually have seen Tony Phua and Yeo Bee Yin during my time in the UK. So Tony Phua actually came.
Really?
Yeah. I think I was in the same train as Tony Phua as well. He came to Cambridge to give a talk. Yeah. So and my memory fails me. Was it Anwar or Mahathir that? I think both of them actually came to Cambridge as well. Najib went to Oxford, and we all went there. All the Malaysians from Cambridge, we took a bus to Oxford in their very very beautiful. I think it's a library. Is it the place where they have the debate? It's a very famous structure. I'm getting old. I can't remember that place, the name place. Yeah. So yeah, they have visited UK, and I have a chance to meet up with them. But of those people, I think Kyrie and Tony, they are both from Oxford, studying the very famous Oxford course called PPE, Philosophy, Politics and Economics. It's a very, very famous course. As you know, a lot, if not almost all of British politicians are actually from Oxbridge, and a lot of them is actually from Oxford's PPE course, right? Yeo Bee is much closer to me, because I think Yeo Bee studied her master's in the at Cambridge, and during that year, I was studying for my PhD as well, and we were actually in the same Mayball, right? Mayball is something that Cambridge and Oxford, I think Oxford has it as well, but we have this kind of like mega celebration after the exams, right, where everyone has to wear tuxedos, and you get to have free flows of food and drinks from 7 p.m. at night until all the way in the morning at 7 a.m. So I think I was in the same Mayball as Yeo Bee, right? And the funny thing is that we spoke a few times, but I didn't really remember her, right? It was when she became the member of our parliament and also our minister for Brithwell. One of my friends actually said, hey, do you know we took a picture with Yeo Bee? I was like, did we? I was like, did we take a picture? We went to the same Mayball? I said, I can't recall. And then he took out the picture and said, yeah, we went to the same Mayball. She's not a member of parliament. So that was the case. Yeah.
You wanted to explain what Mayball is. Not many people know.
Yeah. I know not many people know what Mayball is. But if you have watched the movie about Stephen Hawking, The Theory of Everything, right? Like there's a scene of it, Mayball. But I don't know whether we have enough time to explain what Mayball is. But I mean, Melissa, feel free to jump in. But my only explanation is it's a mega festival that we all of the Cambridge students will go in after their exams. It's called Mayball, but it's not really in May. It's actually in June.
In June.
Yeah. I don't know why they call it May.
Finishing all the exam in May.
Yeah. They finish all the exams in May, and then they get crazy, right? Because you've gone through a really tough year at Cambridge, and then you celebrate freedom, right? Because after that is 2 months of summer holiday.
Yeah, and the tickets are really expensive. Some of them could be up to £500 per ticket.
The most famous one, right? St. John's. It could go up to 500. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Trinity.
And some of my students, after the Mayball in the early morning, they took a Eurostar train from Cambridge, from London actually, to Paris, just to have an afternoon tea there.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've heard about that.
Hi Melissa, just curious, is Eurostyle still available since I think UK is not part of the Europe anymore, right?
It's still available, but they have limited service due to the COVID.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. I remember the last time I was in UK, I took that train to travel around Europe as well. It was a really fun trip, really convenient trip.
It's less than 3 hours for you from London to Paris city center, Garden North.
Yeah, I was so amazed. I was in the train and I passed by. Oh, this is actually Germany. I passed by German, but with one train I passed by like a couple of countries. It was so amazing. Yeah, I really miss that a lot. I will definitely go over to UK and visit Malaysia one day. Yeah.
Sure, when everything's better, when the world is getting better, there will be a lot of
and
chances.
the world is getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So our next topic will be about scholarship, right?
Yep.
So that would be great. Well, we just help a few students getting the scholarship. So it's
I think our next webinar is actually about studying at Cambridge or something like that, right, Joanne? What was it? We
Our
certainly can
next
share.
webinar is how is life studying at University of Cambridge? It will be on the 10th of July. It will be on 10th of July. So stay tuned. We will share more details on the website. We will share more details on the Facebook and also YouTube. So the time really flies when it comes to interesting conversation like this. So we are actually coming to the end of this webinar. And I would like to thank Melissa and Dr. Shin for this experience sharing. So what I have shared in the chat box is I've shared two things. One is the details, the website of the UK Education Garden for you guys to have a look. And the other thing is a form. So UK Education Garden has actually sponsored 30 minutes of free consultation. So whoever who is interested, please fill up this form. It's at the bottom of the chat box. So that's all from us today. I'm really grateful and happy to be the MC for today. I'm looking forward to the next webinar. So thank you, Melissa, and thank you, Dr. Shin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne, for organizing this.
You're
Goodbye.
most welcome. Bye.
Bye.
Keep yourself safe.
Yep.
Yeah, please be safe.
See you next
Thank
time.
you.
Bye.
See you. Good night.
Good
It's good
night.
night here.
It's the afternoon here, which is our